The bar, I'm too persistent. Whip in comment, no cast. Get it on my own, no collab. But if a bar with me, that's a body bag.
Hey, yo, people, we're telling them right now, we've got murderer, one-punch killer, sniper, and gangster on how it feels to kill. Now, this is absolutely brazy, man. I like these kind of videos right here, man. You know what I'm saying? And especially the type of people that they kind of like made, because when you look at the names and that, some people you could say we're doing it for good, some people were saying it they're doing it for bad and that, fam. So they got a nice little mixture in them thing there, fam. You know what I'm saying? But let's see what I go on. Let's see what I go on. I was gonna try guess which one was which and that, but they already put the names there. Bro. Who's the one-punch killer though?
What kind of kid were you when you were growing up?
Active, energetic, confident.
Oh, he's from the UK?
Outspoken. I wasn't shy. I don't know, I felt like a bit of a protector around my friends that I felt were vulnerable, you know? And stuff like that. A bit of a defender, if you could say that, you know?
Who are you?
What would you say was a turning point in your life?
Well, it has to be in 2003, innit, when I was 19. And my best friend at the time called me. He told me that him and his girlfriend, he was with at the time, had been going for a bit of a rough patch, not talking to each other maybe for like a week or two, you know, on and off sort of thing. But during that period of time when they were going through their rough patch, his girlfriend got raped by somebody. When my boy first told me what happened, I said to him, why didn't your girl go to the police? And he said she's scared to go to the police. And she just wanted him to do something to just stop this man from, you know, troubling her again.
Yeah.
The plan was he was gonna pull up at the bus stop, what he did, and meet her. And we was in a phone box waiting for him with 2 baseball bats. And when he did,
what the hell are 2 guys in a phone box, bro? Do you guys know what a phone box looks like? I mean, you guys have them in America and them shit. Like, bro, like 2 men in a phone box, bro. That looks booky as hell, fam. That is not the move.
Right.
That is not the move. That just looks suspect as hell.
As he was talking to the girl, he saw us coming. He grabbed the girl and held her. Why are you gonna grab her like that and hold her like a shield? You've done something guilty. My reaction was to hit him with the bat to get him off of the girl. My boy done the same thing, hit him a few times. He let go of the girl. Then obviously he was trying to disarm me and take my bat off of me. I'm tussling with the man, going back and forth. He's trying to get the bat off me. I'm hitting him some more. It was more just a human reaction thing, innit? You, rapist monster man, is not taking this baseball bat off of me. So if I have to keep swinging it and hitting you so you can't take it off of me, maybe turn it back on me, then that's what's gonna happen. And I just kept swinging it.
Well, I've gone for the boy
trying
though,
to grab it. He dropped on the floor on one knee, and then I just ran across the road, shouted to my boy, let's go. We ran off. And that was it, basically. From where I lived.
What was the boy doing, man? This guy was getting pieced and tagged up and that by the guy in them thing there, fam. You know what I'm saying?
At the time, we could see the police put up the tent around his body and all the road taped off and stuff. And they were just there for hours. And that's why I started to think this has probably gone way too far, because why is there a tent around him? Is this man dead? He can't be dead. I only hit him a few times with a baseball bat in the head and around the shoulder and neck.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Like, where exactly did you hit the guy, bro? Because it sounds like you were giving body shots if he was able to turn around and then attack you, type of thing. From like, there was not. So I was like, okay, you guys did. You know what I'm saying? You did what was right, kind of, bro. You know what I mean? Because you didn't try to hit him in the head, but apparently they did end that, fam. Because bro, baseball bat to the head, multiple hits as well, fam. I don't care who you are, man. Most man, yeah, gone.
5 or 6 days later, Crime Stoppers put posters up around.
Or at least severely damaged.
Where it happened, saying that the man had died. Is there any information on this man? To this day, you know, it's a strange feeling. Sometimes you don't really know what that feeling is, but it's there. It's hard to explain. I don't know. You feel bad about yourself and then you question yourself. Like, am I a bad person? Am I a good person? You know, am I wrong? Am I right? I don't know, I'm a religious person as well, so I think it's in the hands of God, innit?
So was that the only person or the only incident that I did? Because when they say murder, I'm thinking like, you know what I'm saying, he had how many bodies, but not to say that was a justified situation and them thing. I don't think he meant to do it like he said, bro. So the fact that he was dead kind of put some guilt in his heart and then had like a guilty conscience, because that's not what he was trying to achieve type of thing, fam, you know what I'm saying? But all I'm saying is if you go around the world, 90% or 80% of people and ask was that a just, you know what I'm saying, most people would say yes. Some people will say no though, fam, you know what I'm saying? But most people would say, hey, there's nothing wrong in that blood. But at the end of the day, you did take a person's life, fam, you know what I'm saying?
I was out with my friends on a night out.
Who is this guy, bro?
It was one of my friend's 18th birthdays. And we were just out all day drinking. As the clubs closed on that night, I got some calls from my friends who I got separated with, who were in another bar causing trouble. And they would ring me up and say, oh, Jacob is kicking off, you need to come and back us up. So me being the, 18, 19-year-old I was back then, I only cared about my friends. And so I went running down to the scene and I sadly took it upon myself to get involved and I threw a punch at the guy that my mate was arguing with, and he fell on the floor. My friends came round the next day, knocked on the door. I answered at the window, and their response was, "Yes, Jacob, you know."
One Punch Man was One Punch Man known for, and this guy's called the One Punch Kid. There's no way. There's no
man knocked him out
way.
one punch. Like,
There's
trying
no
to
way.
praise me for what I did. And I guess at the time, I felt a little bit of pride getting that.
Yeah, 100, for a fact.
From my friends.
For a fact.
And then a couple more weeks passed, and I ended up, my mum had saved up some money to actually take us on holiday. And we went to Tenerife. And then a couple of days later, after we come back from that holiday, the police started raiding me and all my friends' house. And this was a month after that punch. And then that's when it started to become a reality that someone had actually passed away because of my actions.
How did it make you feel?
That is crazy.
A mixture of every
The real life One Punch Man.
unpleasant emotion combined. Shock, disbelief, self-pity. And I guess at that time I also felt unfortunate. I felt like I was, why has this happened to me? My mum.
That's crazy though, bro. I mean, you hear it all the time. All you have to do is hit someone in the right place, no matter the size, and they can, you know what I'm saying, bro? But that, bro, an actual one punch killer, bro. That is crazy, bro. I want to know this guy's history, blood. Like, did he have fights before then? Was he in a boxing gym? Was it just a lucky shot? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what was his history of, like, fighting, bro? Was he a good fighter? Like, did he know how to fight? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because the reason they say boxers and them thing, they can't actually, like, just go on the street and just beat up any and anyone, bro. You know what I'm saying? For these kind of reasons. But I want to know, like, you know what I mean? What is this guy's history in, like, combat or whatever, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because, like you said, the 18-year-old that he was at the time and that. So I'm guessing those kind of situations weren't necessarily, you know what I'm saying, unfamiliar to him, you could say, bro. You know what I'm saying? But that is an absolute mad thing. And they said a month later, bro. So I don't think it was an instant thing. I feel like the thing caused that much damage that over time it, you know what I'm saying, kind of like accumulated.
The best way to describe it is hysterical. She just kept crying about the
story, man.
The pain that the other person's mum would be feeling.
Now this is a genuine, like, unfortunate situation because it just seemed like
really difficult to.
you know what I'm saying? Just men kind of egos and them thing that get
even
involved.
try and think about.
The court hearing was hard, you know, for me, because all I'm thinking is, I just want this jury to hear from the girl. She was excluded from our trial. She got a plea bargain for conspiracy to assault. She's the reason why her and this guy, why this all started. Obviously, we're not going to hear from the guy. We need to hear from her. And they didn't get to hear from her, so it was difficult for me, you know? Sitting in there as a young black man, I thought, oh my God, I'm already on the back foot. Yeah, just had to just sit there and just take it all in. And then sometimes when your barrister isn't saying what you want him to say and fighting for you how you want him to fight, then, you know, you can't really jump up in the court and start saying, no, you didn't say that right, you're supposed to say this and say that, because obviously it compromises your character. You're gonna have a whole jury looking at you like you're some savage. You're not trying to be a savage, are you? You're just trying to be a normal person.
I'm telling you, the court law
court
is so
hearing
techie,
was,
bro. It's so techie, fam. Because like they say at the end of the day, it's not about the truth or whatever, but it's just about, you know what I'm saying, proving your side of the story type of thing, fam. It gets so techie, fam.
Packed. I didn't know who was in there. There was like random people from off the street who had managed to get in there, who were just being nosy. There was some of my family in there, people who I didn't know, journalists.
Oh, I'm gonna say that, not to say that he was like not guilty or whatever, bro, you know what I'm saying, but I just mean like in general, bro, you know what I mean? In the court of law, it gets techie, but obviously, I feel like his case was kind of like what they call it? It's just like a one and done case, innit, bro, you know what I'm saying? Like, we all know what happened type of thing, bro, you know what I'm saying? Whether you think the actions were right or not, he still killed a man and took a person's life type of thing, bro, you know what I mean?
And then obviously, I was told that, you know, the family of the person who passed away was also in the room. So I think what I did is I put my head down, looked at the floor for the entire process, because I pled guilty early, so there was like no trial or anything. I didn't try and what they would say, bust case, or, you know, try and get away with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so, and then all of a sudden I was looking down at the floor.
This is not a funny situation, but the fact that he's been articulating himself so well, talking a certain type of way, getting into his emotions, like, you know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, I wasn't trying to, what do you say, bust case, like, just out of nowhere, blood, bro, just say what you would normally say, man. It's a bust case.
The prison guard next to me pulled me down, and I didn't even know how long I got. I didn't even know that it was all over and I was going to prisons.
Were you scared?
Yeah, I was scared, and it just felt awful, to be honest.
That's the thing, I don't know if it was him, but most bad men feel bad until they have to go into a jail for an actual bad man, fam. Then it's like, oh, I'm really in a predicament here right now, but I don't know if he was that kind of teenager. You know what I mean? I feel like
it was 12 years, but I did 8 months.
You know what I'm saying? That was kind of like a wake-up call. A big one at that.
Sentenced me to 11 years and 127 days. It's only 19 at the time. We'll get out when I'm 30-something.
I was sentenced to, I think it was 13 months. In the end, which was 2.5 years, an early guilty.
I ain't gonna say much.
In the end, which was 2.5 years.
I ain't gonna say much.
An early guilty plea gets you a third off your sentence. I hadn't had any previous criminal convictions. My probation officer kind of wrote to the judge in the pre-sentence report, just saying that she felt the longer that I was probably in prison, the more unhelpful it may have been.
Tell me about your childhood.
My dad was a builder. My mum was a stay-at-home mum, like she had 8 kids. I was the baby, so I got spoiled. And I went to good schools, I went to grammar. My family was all straight goers. I was the one who corrupted them all. I was walking through a park, a couple of my old school friends, one of them let off a starting pistol, so the 2 coppers come in, and they started getting heavy with them, and I went, oh, you can't do that. I said, you've got to have a responsible adult, there. He went, what, are you, a lawyer? I said, no, but I know my rights. And he went, okay, walked out, they come back, threw a razor on the floor, cutthroat, and he went, we're nicking you, but that come out your pocket. I went, what are you talking about? So they nicked me, took me to Stoke Newington. He said, they said if you plead guilty, it'll be a £10 fine. If you don't plead guilty and you go up the steps. He said, "You're going to get a balls for all that." So I done guilty. When I've gone back to work, of course, they've read it in the newspaper, I lost my job. And with a criminal record, it was very hard to get another job. So what opened up to me, I thought, if you're going to make me a bad guy, I'll show you how bad I can be. People called me a gangster.
That is a mad origin story, bro. That is a mad origin story, fam. Nah.
So I didn't like it. One guy called me a gangster, so I stuck a gun in his mouth and educated him that I weren't a gangster. And I said, look, I'm a businessman, and my business is crime.
I'm a businessman.
One stage, I'm sitting in the pub, all my pals having a drink because they were drunk, and Tony Greek come in to me. He said, "You know the fish and chip shop where your mum and dad goes?" I went, "Yeah." He said, "Well, they're in bits." He said, like, a couple of Turkish guys got their daughter on heroin and trying to get her out on the game. And I went, "Do what?" He said, "Yeah." And I know this family, they're hard-working people, you know, they're in that fish and chip shop from dinner time, working through the night time, you know, covered in grease, and they're nice people. He said, and they know about you, they've heard about you, and they want to talk to you, make it go away. I said, okay. So I got up and see him, and he had this biscuit tin, bless him. And he opened up the biscuit tin, he had rolls of notes in it. He said, "Bobby," he said, "you know, he's crying, his wife's crying," and I felt bad, you know. And he said, "You know, these people, terrible people, you know, told me what they'd..." He said, "And we don't want a problem, we work people." He said, you know. I said, "Don't worry, I'll make it go away." So he gave me the biscuit tin, and it was their savings. And I don't take money off of them, I'm going to nick it off of people who really got it. So I said, "No." I said, "What you do, if we come in here, we get fish and chips free, and if my mum and dad come up here, you give them their fish and chips free, okay?" I said, "And that's the price." So I've come out, and Frank was sitting in the motor. He was my driver, old Frank.
He really is a businessman though, because that right there, bro, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to the money, bro, that's literally gone like that, fam, you know what I'm saying? That's the savings and them thing there, bro. Yeah, you go buy this, that, and that money's gone and that, bro. Whereas you say, okay, now I get free fish and chips, including my family and that, blood. Now you got, you know what I'm saying, blood, he's setting himself up for the future. That's a businessman move right
He
there.
went, "What's going
you know
on?"
What I'm saying?
"Tomorrow."
Interesting bloke though,
I said,
interesting
7
fellow
o'clock
right
in the
here.
morning, I said, "Bring the car round. I'm not messing about with these people, they're dangerous, I'm going to shoot them." So I got out the motor, got the sawn off, one's under the car, I walked in and I shot him through the leg, and I went, "I'll blow your fucking head off." I went, "How about that?" I said, "If you ain't off the manor in 24 hours, I'm going to blow your brains out."
What does it feel like to shoot someone?
Well, I weren't shooting.
The maddest thing with gangsters like these though is that they have a whole life of crime, they live the maddest life and that get locked up, then they just snitch on the whole gang and them thing. I don't know if that's the same situation here and that, you know what I'm saying, but it's crazy how people find themselves in these kind of like situations and that, because we all know you can find yourself on the road or doing a whole heap of badness for a multitude of different reasons and that, fam, you know what I'm saying, but like you said, you don't have to come from a bad upbringing and that, bruv, you know what I'm saying, to kind of be in that kind of life and that, fam, you know what I'm saying? So most people say, why did he need to go into that? But the way that he's talking and the way that the situations that he was getting himself into, blood, you know what I'm saying? It's like very understandable type of thing, fam, you know what I'm saying? It's not even like he was just doing bad for badness sake and that, fam. It was just like certain bad people tested him and he, you know what I'm saying, said, "Say less, fam, I can match your energy," type of thing, bro, you know what I mean? So like, he gave the same energy to the same people, basically, you know what I'm saying? Treated people how they treated him, you know what I'm saying? Reciprocated energy and that, man. I feel you.
Well, I weren't shooting in my head, right, because they used to say, how they do it, so you don't feel bad about it. They'd say, "We've got a rat." So you dehumanise them, they're not a person anymore, they're a rat. So what I'm shooting is vermin. So I had no problem with that. You've got to dehumanise them so that they're just an object to be targeted, and you target them and you do it. To me, everything was business. It didn't matter whether I liked you or didn't like you. If someone said to me, "There's X amount of pounds, we're in on shot in the leg," I'm going to look at it and think, right, if I shoot him, I get caught, I'm going to do this much jail. If I'm clever and I don't get caught, that's my money if I shoot him. So,
and that's the way you should always. Actually, you know what? You shouldn't think like that. Just stay out of the street, kid. Stay out of the street. I don't know what I was about to talk about, fam. You know what I'm saying?
It's not as glamorous as people think. It's like anything, whether you're shooting them, cutting them. Once you've done one, half a dozen ain't too many. You become hardened. And that's why it's very hard for you to show love and emotion, that sort of thing, because you've got to bring the shutters down. Because if you don't, you'd go insane. Or you'd put one in your own mouth, you know?
Can you remember the first mission you were sent on?
Yeah, I can. It was in Iraq. We were in the Maysan Desert. And the Maysan Desert is a vast, vast place, and it's desolate. We were getting scouted by a motorbike, and every time we saw this motorbike, loads of mortars would come in. The artillery and the mortars were getting pretty damn close, and then I got the green light to take the target out. I shot, missed my first shot. Second shot, I got him, and then I had to go up to the body to see if I'd
confirmed the kill,
if he was, you know, dead. And I remember walking up to the body. The motorbike, the throttle was stuck in the sand, and the bike was revving, had an AK strapped to it, and the guy was on the floor, and he passed away. I'd shot him here.
And you see what I'm saying about the different kind of characters and how this guy's talking right now, from even by the subtle words of saying he passed away and that, fam, you know what I'm saying? Not I killed him, not I meant like he wasn't dead, like just them words. Because I always say, but when people like pass away, say pass away, I feel like saying, oh, a person's dead. It's like it's just a hash of a word in that. Like there's no real way to like explain death or like announce death. But I feel like passed away is just a more like, you know what I'm saying? It's just a smoother way of like, you know what I'm saying, respecting the dead, you could say, type of thing. But it's like not necessarily nice, but it's just interesting to see the different characters and them thing there, fam, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I was gonna say, you know what I mean? You got two people that necessarily mean to kill a person. You got an ex-gangster, and then you got a sniper that does it for, you could say, a good cause, bro.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
weird feeling. Weird feeling. You feel like you're in trouble.
Killing is killing.
You feel I've just killed someone. But people are thanking you, going, oh yeah, good shot, tapping your shoulders, good shot, good, you know, good mission there, Craig, well done. But you just killed someone. Strange feeling, strange feeling.
Snipers work in pairs.
Yes, they do, yeah.
Can you explain?
I never knew that.
You have one and a number two. Now, number two, he's usually the best sniper, because he'll work out all your calculations, he'll work out all the wind, everything you need to know for your scope. And basically then he will tell you to put it in, and all you got to do is pull the trigger. The number one is probably the best shooter. We got to understand then that sniping is not all about shooting and killing. The first job of a sniper is to gather lifetime information of the battlefield. So I'd look for my scope, I'd see a bloke come out of his compound with a lady, and I would make up a story, say, oh, there's Limpy John with his wife. And it keeps your mind occupied, and you goes, oh, let's see what Beryl's doing. And then you go over to Beryl. Oh, let's see what Bob's doing. Oh yeah, there's Bob doing the same old thing. It's quite hard really, because when you do get to take the target out, you're killing Bob, you know, and you've made a name up for him for the last 4 days, you know, but that's the sort of thing you need to mentally switch off.
Let's go through some of the other missions you were on. Are there any that stand out in your head as dangerous?
One mission, we were in Basra Palace, and we got to go to this place called the P-Jock, and the P-Jock basically is just run by 15 people, that's it, and it's next to a prison, and it used to get smashed every single night from 11 o'clock at night till 5 in the morning. It is the gates of hell, the gates of hell, and they're trying to release all these insurgents, all these other hierarchy Taliban from this prison, and it was our job to not let them do that. We were on the roof on this occasion, and they came from north, they came from the south, they came from the east, they came from the west, they came from everywhere.
Man.
And we got absolutely, I'm going to say it, we got absolutely smashed. We thought we were going to get overrun. So I phoned Tanya. I get a bit upset, you know, sorry. I phoned her and she answered.
Is that your his girlfriend, wife?
And I said to her, I love you, you know. And she goes, I know. She goes, what's all that noise? And I said, that's nothing, that's nothing. Just want to hear her voice, you know. Just want to hear her voice. And we went back on the roof, and yeah, we were in the fight. It was like a wall got shattered. And when that wall of ice got shattered, everything that I've experienced in my tours through Bosnia, Kosovo, Iraq, Afghan, I couldn't I couldn't stop it. My wife noticed it first. She noticed that there was something wrong due to my isolation, my snappiness, just depression really, and suicidal thoughts.
And that's my whole thing, man. That's my whole thing, bro. Because people may say it's for a good cause, but at the end of the day, you're in the absolute maddest of situations and that, fam. You know what I'm saying? Or how these conflicts may even come about and that. It's like being on the block and that, fam. You know what I'm saying? Your granddad caused the problem and them thing there, or was in a certain thing, and it just carries on for generations, and then you find yourself in this thing, and sometimes you don't even know why you're doing certain things and that, fam. But human beings shouldn't be doing things like this, blood. You know what I'm saying? From like the PTSD, all of these different things that they get diagnosed with, and that the fact that they can't even operate already shows you that this is not a state or a thing that human beings should be involved in and that, fam. You know what I'm saying? So it gets techie and that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying it's for a good cause. I'm just saying people would say it's for a good cause type of thing compared to other people on this list right here, bro. You know what I'm saying? But then when you listen to the way people have to live, the things that they have to do, the things that they, you know what I'm saying, experience afterwards, and that, it's like, you know what I'm saying, is this really for a good cause type of thing, bro? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
Depression, really.
Some one thing, man.
Suicidal thoughts. I'm not gonna lie, I will cry later, because a lot of memories come up, you know, a lot of thoughts. I don't disguise it, you know. I'm a big advocate for PTSD, but I find I'm ashamed to have PTSD, and I'm the first one to admit it. It ruins your sex life. It ruins your friends, because no one wants to be around you because you're just miserable. You don't want to go out because you get so angry so quick. The army noticed it, and I got called into the MO's office, which is the medical officer's office. From doing 20 odd years, took half an hour for me to get kicked out. Yeah,
that's the thing. It's literally just a mad situation after mad situation. It's like a mad situation. I say, let's now I got a break. Now I got a month or 2 months to kind of process this, recalibrate and them thing. That it's like it just piles up and piles up and piles up and piles up and piles up until you look behind you and you're like, oh shit, I got all this to deal with, and it all just tumbles down on you. Like he explained and that, fam. You know what I'm saying? It's like you really don't have no time to actually like really sit down, and you know what I mean. And even if you did have time to even sit down, let's say you go on a tour to Afghanistan, you have a year to, I don't know, let's say recuperate and recalibrate and them thing there, fam. Is that still enough time? Because the situation that you were just in is still a mad thing, fam. You know what I'm saying? And even one of those tours or whatever might not even be processable. Now you've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You know what I'm saying?
I'll say it. My wife, we went to America, stayed there for a bit, and my wife went back to England to see her mum.
It also depends on the person as well.
Yeah, I nearly shot myself. I took all the rounds out of the gun. I was practicing where to do it, where I would do it. And I put the bullet in, cocked it, put it in my mouth, and Betsy was sat on the back of the sofa. She's little Yorkshire Terrier. She saved my life. I wouldn't be here now, either sat talking to you guys or on this planet, if it wasn't for my wife and my dog. No fucking way. I would have checked out. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard.
And that's the mad thing. Like he said, bruv, you gotta think of the people as vermin, fam. You know what I'm saying? You gotta put a character in your mind and that way. So he's actually thinking of them as like actual people, bro. Because like I said, once again, he's doing it for a necessary, I don't know, bad reason, and that's why he has to put his mind into a certain place. He's doing it for a technically good reason, but he's still killing people. So it's, you know what I'm saying, that kind of like conflict of interest type of thing, bro. But it shows, you know what I'm saying, not to say that this guy's completely fine and doesn't have nightmares at night and flashbacks and sees the people that, you know what I'm saying, but just from what we've seen and that, from two completely different people and that, blood, but they, I guess, kill in different ways and see the people that they're killing in different ways.
You were sentenced to manslaughter. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about what happened there?
That was a bad one. You know, that's the only thing I've got on my conscience that I have to live with. That is the hardest thing I have to live with. Someone choked on a gag on a bit of work, you know, and they choked on their vomit. And
do you want to explain what that is?
It's a bad place for me, you know. Like we've done 100 times. You tie them up, you gag them, yeah? You go, the police come, untie them. Boom. If I could undo that one, just that one, that would be the only thing in my life I would undo.
Why do you think the death of that victim at your hands has caused you so much kind of mental pain?
Because it should never have happened. And even to this day, I have to live with it. I've done an innocent. And you don't do that in my world. You don't do innocence. And
see what I'm saying?
No, that one I feel terrible about. But when I go to church, because I'm Catholic, I believe in that sort of thing, I always light a candle for that person. Like I do my mum and dad and my daughter who died, you know? I light candles for them. It's a respect thing, and I say a prayer for them, you know?
Do you have any regrets about what you did?
No, I don't, you know.
That's what I'm saying.
Because
see what?
I believe what I done was right.
Exactly. That's
from my heart. I've looked at it in my head time and time again, over and over and over again.
Most
am I
people
wrong? Am I right?
But, you know what I'm
and
saying?
I feel like, I don't know, I feel like, yeah, I'm kind of right. If there's one less rapist on the earth, then that's got to be a good thing.
Do you think it's the right thing to take power in your own hands in this sense, or do you think we should aim at the police to address this?
The police officer got raped and murdered a girl the other day. So how can you go to the police? A police officer was convicted for raping and killing a girl the other day, right? So where are we going with this? The police are doing the same thing.
But what people
so
gotta understand is that police officers are just regular people at the end of the day. There's no way to like when you go to the police force, you do all these tests and them thing there, but there's no way to measure a person's, I don't even know how to explain it, blood. Like just like measure the integrity, blood, measure their morals and that, fam. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, you could have someone like this guy, you know what I'm saying, go into the police force, but then again, you could have someone like, I don't know, you could have like a replication of someone that's in jail also become a police officer, you know what I'm saying, because you can't really test, you know what I'm saying, like what their like true intentions actually are to go onto the police force type of thing. So for some people, they're a regular person going into this and it's just like a power boost type of thing, fam, you know what I'm saying, so they're not necessarily, you know what I mean, like, I'm sure you might understand, because when you think of people like the Prophet Muhammad, Jesus and all of that, these are so-called like clean-hearted people basically, fam, you know what I'm saying, but there's no way to measure someone's like there's no way to like measure a clean heart type of thing, you know what I'm saying, like even to explain it is kind of mad. There's no way to measure a clean heart, fam, to actually put on the police force so that no matter what situation they're put in, they do the right thing. There's no way to measure that, bro, you know what I'm saying, so it's like just trial and error type of thing, bro, you know what I mean, because when people say, oh, go to the police, they try to act like the police are God or something, like, you know what I'm saying, like they're just regular people at the end of the day, so they're gonna act like a regular person would type of thing. So it doesn't mean
I
that
think girls go to the police.
Yeah,
they're going to go to their boyfriends. They're going to go to their friends. They're going to go to their brothers. They're going to go to their dads. You're going to go to somebody that's probably going to do something about it straight away, and not be like, we're going to investigate and give you a crime number and get back to you. And you're scared to go to the shops now. You can't go out your house. Scared. How much women out there are being raped and violated, and kids are being violated and by paedophiles and that. Ask them how they feel about people like that, whether we should take the law into our own hands and sometimes dish out our own justice. If it's a monster, then, you know, I'm not really haunted by that, like, you know. Would you? Would you do the same thing for your friend, for your mum, for your sister, for your brother? You know? Makes us question our own selves, innit, as humans, innit?
Would you do the same thing again?
Yeah.
If I was put in that situation again,
maybe not kill him, but I feel like, yeah.
I have to defend it. I'm a defender. If I have to live my life in prison being a defender, then that's what I'm gonna have to do, innit? And then if I have to die in prison being a defender, then I'm gonna die in prison being a defender, and at least I can live with myself in my cell and say, I defended something for the right reason.
Did you feel a lot of guilt?
At the time, I did feel a lot of guilt, but I didn't know what to do with it. Because how could I How could I ever know?
How do you feel now then?
What the impact was. And I kind of think I was scared of knowing what the truth was, like how that crime had actually impacted on the people involved. And, you know, I was told by the parents that James was the type of person where he'd want me to make something of my life and amount to something positive. That helped me try to believe in myself a little bit more, because I knew I wouldn't be able to achieve anything if I was just stuck in the guilt and shame of what I'd done. And that's when they asked me, you know, what is it that you're going to actually do with your life, Jacob? Because it's okay saying... I didn't even want to say the word sorry. I said, you know, I feel like it would be an insult to say the word sorry. I want to prove to you through my actions that I actually am sorry. And then, you know, that's when I said, okay, well, what are you going to do? And so I said, I'll give GCSEs another shot at 21 years old, and smashed it.
Did his mum ever tell you that she forgives you?
Yeah. But I didn't ever want to expect forgiveness. And I understand that forgiveness isn't something that is black and white. Forgiveness means different things to different people.
What advice would you give to your younger self?
Forget religion, forget colour, forget sex. Boils down to, in life, two things. Are you a good person or a bad person? That's all it boils down to.
Do you ever miss the old life?
So I had to go through...
That's a tricky subject though, bro, you know what I'm saying? Because I always say life isn't black and white, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, even with these situations right here, how do you judge which one was just and which one was bad, fam? Because there's a multitude of things that go into it. Even with my man, bro, that murdered my man and that, fam, you know what I'm saying? The R word. Have I been saying it, bro, furthermore? I guess it's been said, bro, said over my, because you should not really like when you said that word. But anyway, when he did what he did with the 2 baseball bats and that, fam, yeah, he was that, fam, but he also had a mother, he had a father, he was probably loving to someone. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no one that really wins or loses in these situations and that, fam, you know what I'm saying? There's always someone that's going to be affected. There's always a multitude of different things that go into it, fam, that doesn't just justify it as good or bad and that, bro, you know what I mean? So how do you really measure that?
Hell, right? To appreciate heaven. And that's what it is. You have to see ugliness to appreciate beauty. You have to witness hatred and venom to appreciate love and kindness.
I actually thought he was going to walk off. And I see him look at me. And he had a thought. And now I know what the thought was.
Now, remember this thing. I don't think I've watched it, but I might watch that depending on how this video does. But hopefully you might enjoy it though. It's been your boy Njiesv, man, Njiesv at MLC Njiesv, and I'll catch you man in the next one, man. This one was actually a good watch. I can't even lie to you, in a bit though, people, man.